right, thank you, Doc. Appreciate it. Why don't you guys, while I go through my quick wardrobe change, stand up for just a couple seconds. You've been sitting there for a while because we're going to be up here for a while. Just stand up and sit right back down to get a little bit of a stretch. I've got. Thank you. All right. In case you didn't recognize him, that was Eric Benz, our Burbank branch manager. He'll be back out here. With the, you guys can sit down whenever you want. I just want to give you a little bit of a stretch. With the Future Arrives November 20th promotion for this event, we couldn't help but have some fun with the Back to the Future stuff. I think these are back in fashion, actually. All right. Thanks to our La Crescenta tech liaison, Ed Charbonneau. I don't know if Ed's in here somewhere, but Ed, he's the one that did the slides like you saw earlier, like this one. No, the tennis shoes? No tennis shoes? All right. All right, enough monkey business. Before we move on to the serious stuff, I do want to at least acknowledge my mom, Minnie Dilbeck, our matriarch. Welcome. And my wife Teresa Dilbeck. Teresa, thank you guys both for being here. Okay, now on to the serious stuff. As a company, we are blessed with a wonderful legacy. People in our industry throughout the country, they know who we are. And you all have helped contribute to our reputation as a respected organization that's recognized as one with core values that include honesty, integrity, fair dealing, and quality. As you know, our guiding principle is consistently exceeding expectations. Our announcement today will be about change. You guys might want to open those back doors to let it cool down a little bit in here. It'll be about change. But what does not change is our core values or our guiding principle. Lately, because of some conversations we've had with the management team and our coach, Stella Balasanian, I've been thinking a lot about why I do what I do. Personally, I try to think more about the future than the past. But with Fred Keeler's recent passing, I've realized that far more of you now say to me that I didn't have the pleasure of knowing Fred or your father than those of you who actually knew Fred or my dad, Ray Dilbeck. Both of them left us a wonderful legacy. They were both remarkable men. And pardon me, I feel compelled right now to mention Barbara Napolitano, our branch manager, Mike Napolitano's wife, passed away yesterday afternoon. So Mike's not here, and you know, our thoughts and good wishes definitely go, you know, to Mike and his family. Anyway, back to my prepared remarks. The seeds of who we are as a company started with my dad, Ray Dilbeck, and actually Fred Keeler's father, Bliss Keeler. I never met Bliss Keeler, but I have to figure that Fred's value system in large part came from his father. Fred and my father believed in doing things the right way. In our industry today, we deal with more and more companies who have little regard for how their agents interact with their clients or how their agents interact with other brokerages for that matter. The model of these companies is to add as many licenses as possible. Their value proposition is low cost with diminished support. These types of companies, they can make a lot of money for their owners, sometimes also for their legal defense team, because other than having higher defense cost, their owner's expense structure is very low. Frankly, I'm not sure how an entrepreneur, and that's what we are as agents and owners of small businesses, independent, private owners, we're entrepreneurs. What I started to say is that I'm not sure how an entrepreneur or a local business owner can feel good about himself when he views his company's success by how much money it makes without any regard for the overall quality of the people who work at his company and what they do for the consumer. When I think about why I do what I do, and more importantly, the way we do it, what motivates me is how people will think about us in the future. I want to prove to the world, I want to prove to my children that as time marches forward and others look back at us from the future, they will recognize us as a company, a group of people who were successful doing things the right way, with quality, with caring about the experience of both those within the organization and those that we serve, the customers that we serve outside the organization. As we move forward, I want us to be living proof that honesty, integrity, fairness, and performance with care still are the best way to do business in today's world. Along You know, it's funny, we were talking about this at the management retreat, and I started getting all choked up. The manager just goes, you should do that at the event. I go, I'm not going to make myself cry at the event. Anyway, along with other members of your management team, I was personally extremely engaged in developing our guiding principle, consistently exceeding expectations, as well as our branding statement, generations of trust for generations to come. These words do mean something to me. I do this the way that we do it so that hopefully the Gen Xers, the millennials, and whatever the next generation is called, look at us as we move forward through the future and say that we are a successful company doing business in a trustworthy, quality-oriented, fair-dealing fashion, and that still is the most admirable way to do it. I shared with your managers at our strat planning sessions last week that within the last couple of months, I've had a couple of different, they were either Gen Xers or baby boomers, the older Gen Xers, and they told me about negative experiences that they had with millennials. You probably know, millennials are basically young people in their 20s and early 30s. Anyway, in both cases, the boomer or the Gen Xer said something to me like, that millennial generation just doesn't seem to care as much. I don't buy throwing a whole generation into a negative category like that. I recall people in the 80s calling it the me generation. And we've got a lot of good people who lived through the 80s that are part of our real estate company, who lived through that me decade. We also have plenty of good people who are millennials. There are countless young adults today who, just like my dad, they want to shake your hand, look you in the eye, stand by their word. They're people who want to provide a quality experience and enjoy a quality experience. And they want to work in a positive, collaborative environment like the one that we provide, where we're focused and guided by consistently exceeding expectations. All of you, our sales partners and our staff here today, are part of our legacy, regardless of which generation from which you come. Some of you, for decades, have helped build our wonderful reputation. Some of you will make positive contributions for many, many, many years to come. The key to making sure that the next generation looks back upon us as having made a positive impact and a positive imprint is to avoid simply relying on our past success and our legacy. Our world, our industry has changed dramatically, and it continues to rapidly do so. Our core values and our principles, they remain steadfast. But if we as a company, if we're going to be here for the generations to come, we must continue to examine what we do, renew what we do, innovate, and embrace change. Today is about change. As I mentioned earlier, we have several announcements this morning. We will make them as we go through the morning rather than just throwing them all out now. Maybe I should have said this earlier, but one thing we're not announcing is that we're selling the company. We're not selling the company. We do have a branding change, however. As of 3 days ago, Monday the 17th, we are no longer a Real Living franchise. We are now independent of any franchise. I wasn't quite sure what reaction I was going to get to those last two. All right, this does not mean, however, that our Christie's affiliation is going away. We remain the local exclusive affiliate of Christie's International Real Estate. Let me go back to some fairly recent history with you and tell you what not being part of a franchise means in the relative short term. If someone would have asked me this summer when our Real Living franchise agreement expired, I would have said, in all honesty, in 2016. You know, by looking at our logo over the past 15 years, that 15 years plus, that even while we've been part of a franchise system, we've been we've been very proactive about our primary brand and our local roots. It's those roots that in some ways we're going back to as we move forward. So why would I have said before that our franchise agreement was expiring in 2016, and now I tell you that it expired on November 17th, 2014? The answer is that certain events occurred completely out of our control, but within the control of our franchisor and their affiliate organizations, that recently gave us an opportunity to expedite the expiration of our franchise agreement based on some special provisions that we negotiated into our franchise agreement before we signed it. Those of you who have been with us for more than a handful of years will remember that when we changed branding in the past, we typically had pretty much everything ready for the brand, the new brand, the day that we announced it. Because the opportunity to expedite an early expiration of our franchise agreement was within a relatively tight time frame, today we have some items that are ready with the new brand, and other things will be available over the following weeks. You'll understand that statement a little bit better as I continue to unveil our future throughout the morning. Let's go back in time to 2011. Many of you will recall some of the reasons that we became part of Real Living. Perhaps the biggest reason revolved around technology. When we introduced you to Real Living and the Real Living Business Center, that technology platform in 2011, it's a CRM, a contact relation management system. You'll hear me use that term CRM again throughout the morning a few times. It was state of the art in 2011. An important part of why we joined Real Living were the verbal commitments that the Real Living gave us about how their considerable financial wherewithal behind Real Living would ensure ongoing innovation and development of their CRM and their other technology tools. As history played out, although there are some very hardworking, well-intentioned, honest people on the front lines at Real Living, it's really the corporate decision makers that ultimately set the priorities in terms of what they've done the last few years. About a year ago, as your management team witnessed a changing environment in the franchise world and the vendor world in real estate, we asked ourselves, what would we do if we separated from Real Living in 2016? So although what we're unveiling today came together very quickly, a significant part of the blueprint has been developing over some period of time. Your management team examined the most valuable elements of what Real Living delivered, and we've gone about replacing and improving them. As part of this process, we hired the Real Trends technology team out of Denver as consultants to help us uncover, evaluate, and vet the best technology vendors in and around the real estate industry. Through this process, we hired a company by the name of Tribus to deliver and support a new state-of-the-art CRM to replace what you've been using with the Real Living Business Center. The new Tribus CRM will be live today when you get back to your offices. At noon today, your tech liaisons will receive training here on the CRM and some of the rest of what I'll be talking about later this morning. And most of your managers will also be here for that training this afternoon. The new Tribus CRM has loads of functionality. Our goal with the tech liaisons is to help start you with the basics of the software and build on that knowledge base as we move forward over the next many weeks and months to come. During which time we'll have additional training for our sales partners and our staff, et cetera. By entering into a contract directly with Tribus, we have the ability to continue to advance in real time. We're not reliant on our franchisor upgrading its tools when it sees fit. We can move forward in front of our competition when we see fit. As I mentioned, new Tribus CRM goes live today. Having said that, based on our agreement with Real Living, you still have the ability to use the Real Living Business Center and Market Advantage until at least the end of the year. During that interim time period, we'll continue to build marketing pieces and the technology integration between the Tribus CRM and other vendors we're using to replace what Real Living brought to you through Market Advantage. Despite the fact that we're separating with Real Living, they have agreed to cooperate with us through this transition. Having said that, they don't have a lot of incentive to help us. And their organization is very protective of its tool set and its trademarks. As a result, contractually, there are some hard deadlines by which we will have to stop using their tools and their marks, their trademarks. Having said that, we have arranged with Real Living so that you'll have access to the My Contacts portion of the Business Center through the end of January. So that should give you plenty of time to migrate your information from that CRM to the new one. And our tech liaisons will be here to help you along the way with all that. Going back to the Real Living toolset, another thing that we liked was that we were able to offer our sales partners customizable, personalized websites. As a result, we are also delivering to you new, personalized, customizable websites. I'll show you a sample of that in a bit, but let's talk about logos first. I expect that some of you have been wondering what the new logo is going to look like. So as you can see, it's very similar to what we have now, but without the Real Living marks. Frankly, we didn't want to make the removal of the Real Living to be super noticeable to the consumer. We firmly believe that the changes we're implementing today are going to be very positive. But we wanted to make the distraction as slight as possible as well. For example, the Christie's International Real Estate logo treatments, they're not changing at all. One of the reasons we kept the red element in the logo, for those of you that were around before, remember we didn't have any red, was because it complements the elements that we use with the Christie's materials. We actually, when we originally rolled out the Real Living logo, we negotiated with them so that we could use a different red that they typically use, and it was the same red that we used with Christie's so that our materials the consumer knows when they're seeing us. There's also, this is just one variant of the new logo. I guess I should be looking down there. I forgot I had a monitor. This is just one variant of the new logo. We also have reverse logos, black and white versions, etc. I'm not going to go through all the different versions, but just know that you will have options. Hopefully, you noted that the Real Living swoosh was gone. No art. That's gone. Actually, I guess it was really a white arch, not a red arch. That's gone. A quick aside, my wife is sitting here going, why are you doing that? When Eric Benz and I were talking about the shtick at the beginning, I told him, you think it'd be too stupid if I did that thing with the shoes? He goes, it'd be better than you stripping. So that means more to those of you that were here when we went to Real Living. So just so you know, I'm not planning on going and modeling a t-shirt later this morning. Anyway. I got dirt from my shoes on my paper. So as we were upgrading your new websites and giving you personalized websites, we felt it was important to upgrade our website as well. So with the Real Trends Technology team's assistance, we again chose Tribus as the vendor of choice to help us with a new state-of-the-art, SEO-friendly website for our sales partners and the one for the company. In a bit, I'll show you shots of what the sales partner websites look like. But first, I want to give you a sample of the new Dilbeck.com site. Here's what our current website looks like. Pretty soon, the Real Living logo will come off of that. It's good. It's better than a lot. Not as contemporary as others. Here's what the new Dilbeck.com will look like. That's good. Thank you. That makes me feel real good. I got to tell you this. We've been working on this. It's thank you. I really appreciate that. It's as I explained earlier, our window to expedite the franchise agreement expiration was a small one. So not everything related to the transition is ready today. What I'm showing you, and we'll be showing you a few more slides of, is our screenshots of a website that's still under construction. The go live date for the websites, yours and the company websites, is January 15th. This is basically a look and feel of what the site looks like, but there's a lot of functionality that has to be built behind it. With regard to your Real Living websites, we've arranged to keep them up with Real Living up until the new websites are available in January. In January. Anyway. As our new websites, something I've been working with the marketing department to focus on for quite some time is better imagery and more focus on lifestyles and communities. Behind me is just one example of the many types of imagery we intend to display on the front page of the website, the home page. As the consumer goes through a search and then comes back to that front page, that imagery, that photo will change. And we can continue to change what's on there, and clearly what we want to have is something that's visually pleasing. With regard to lifestyles, as you scroll down the page, this is the kind of the middle of that home page. Again, very visually pleasing imagery. But importantly, as people navigate through the website, they can click through on those different icons and go find out more about a community or various lifestyle where we live. This is still being built out. We'll have the ability to change a lot of it, add photos, change change content, add, drop communities, add, drop lifestyles. This is an opportunity, actually, for those of you who are skilled amateur photographers. This is where you can come in and help us with the website. If you'd like to contribute photos for us to use, we'd love to have them. We're already started taking and collecting some images for the new website. But more fun than that, however, this morning we posted our first photo at Dilbeck Lifestyles on our various social media sites. Or excuse me, hashtag Dilbeck Lifestyles. So if you go take a photo, you can post it to any of our social media sites at Dilbeck Lifestyles, hashtag Dilbeck Lifestyles, and we can grab it and put it on the website. We really encourage you to do that if you like it. Although it's been a lot of work finishing and developing, well, not although this will be a lot of work finishing and developing and maintaining and upgrading this lifestyle portions of the site, I'm really particularly excited about it. Something that I pushed for with our marketing team. If you poke around on websites with our local competitors, I challenge you to find anything that that will match this lifestyle portions of our website. Scrolling down the home page further, you'll see an amped up, again, more visually pleasing place to view and search for properties. Note the more contemporary navigation bar on the bottom, as well as the option, you can't see it probably very well from where you're sitting, but there's an option to translate the site into different languages if somebody is on the site. It's that bottom right-hand thing there. Good. Thank you. So now let's take a peek at the sample sales partner sites. This is what you'll start with, something that looks similar to this. It's good as is, you don't have to touch it. But for those of you that want to customize it, either yourself or with someone who assists you, including the tech liaisons, they're at your disposal. You have plenty of options. For example, in the top nav bar, you can clearly change your name, and unless you want people to call 8675309, you can change the phone number. These can all be changed, and what goes behind them can change, and the content, etc. Here, the search bar, this part doesn't change, but the calls to action, if you want to change those and put something different there and put different content behind that, you can do that as well. That's what we call the property search bar there in the middle. This part down here with the sales partner, pretty much all of that is customizable. You can do what you want with that. It's what you can do with this site. You can do everything you can do today with your real living personal sites and more in terms of how it's built. For those of you that are techno people, WordPress is the basis of it, and it's a very friendly system for changing websites. If we go to the next slide, the My Listings section, you'll see we moved it up above the Communities and Lifestyle section for the sales partner site. If you currently don't have any listings, or you don't like the listings you have, or you don't have very many, you can turn that part off. So it shows up or doesn't show up depending on what you want to do. Same thing with the lifestyles. The lifestyles part, it'll default to the company lifestyles part, to the company website for the lifestyles portion, but if you don't want to use that and create your own content, you can do that. If you don't want a lifestyles portion at all, you can delete that as well. You might want to put your own photos or a write-up of your farm, or you'll learn some other things this morning that we're rolling out that will give you some opportunities to amp this up as well. It's pretty much endless in terms of what you can do in terms of customizing it. I think it's pretty neat stuff. I thank you, appreciate that. I feel compelled to say that these Tribus products and the platforms, as well as the rest of what we'll be introducing later this morning, didn't come cheap. I got a bit of a pit in my stomach every time I signed one of these contracts of the stuff that we're unveiling this morning. Not just the Tribus products, but the rest of what you'll hear about later as well. There certainly was an element of simplicity in paying Real Living one big fee for them to deliver a bundle of a bunch of stuff versus having to go and vet and pay a variety of different vendors in total, substantially the same that what we were paying Real Living. But now we provide an a la carte, specialized suite of a myriad of unique tools, systems, products, services, and platforms. A big benefit in using separate vendors is what we now have is an opportunity to upgrade each business platform, system, tool, or product as advancements are made in that particular arena. The goal is to create a greater return on the investment for all of us and to help ensure that you have the most current and the most beneficial items in the relevant arena for your business and for us to help you and for you to be more productive. Changing topics. We'll be happy to know in a few minutes someone else will be up here speaking. As I discussed earlier, we have an ongoing commitment to provide excellent customer service. As a company, we liked what Real Living's Premier Service Platform stands for and the idea of using surveys for customer feedback. The words Premier Service, however, are trademark protected by Real Living, a Real Living corporate affiliate. As a result, of the separation with Real Living, this month of November will be the last month that we send out Premier Service surveys. We are, however, upping the ante. We've taken what we think are the best parts of the Premier Service program, the best elements, and we've improved upon them and developed our own program. I present to you Platinum Advantage. Our legal counsel, Mona Rose, recently filed a trademark application for Platinum Advantage to protect the use of these marks for our new program. Next week, back at your office, you'll see marketing materials we've developed for the Platinum Advantage. Also back at your office next week, you'll start to see new listing and buyer presentation materials to replace the Real Living branded materials that you have. Most of the changes in the materials they'll all be logo changes and then some minor, some Real Living references. We did that in the interest of time so that you had materials soon. As we continue to update the materials and we'll add more references to our new tools, et cetera, they'll be delivered to your offices in the weeks to follow. And then as we get through the transition, we plan to revisit and refresh more of the look and feel of the materials. With regard to the new Platinum Advantage program, we and you earned the consumer satisfaction rating that we promote with Premier Service. As a result, at least at the outset, we plan to continue to promote that consumer satisfaction rating. It won't be associated with Premier Service, but that is our consumer satisfaction rating. Part of Platinum Advantage, however, includes a new and much more powerful agent evaluation platform. In examining what we wanted to do with Platinum Advantage, we again vetted several vendors. Although we literally demoed products from at least 3 different countries, it turns out that the vendor we selected has a presence right here in an awesome town, Santa Clarita. So our next presenter didn't have to drive very far to get here today. One element of our new agent evaluation platform is a client survey, but unlike the Premier Service set surveys that had to be batched and sent to Real Living vendors in 1 month and all sent out at one time, the new surveys will be sent out shortly after each transaction closes. This feature alone should help you get a greater number of responses to the surveys, which in turn will help you secure more buyers and sellers. In a few moments, I'll invite Jeff Turner up on stage. Currently, Jeff is the president of Real Satisfied. Real Satisfied is the rapidly growing real estate consumer satisfaction platform that we will be using in conjunction with Platinum Advantage. Prior to joining Real Satisfied, Jeff led JJ Grace as its founder and CEO to Inc. magazine's list of the 500 fastest growing companies in America, and was at its helm when it won Cisco's Growing with Technology Award. Jeff is also chairman of the board of Mothers Fighting for Others, a charity dedicated to educating orphan Kenyan girls. Additionally, and this part is taken verbatim from what he sent me, he is the proud father of 6 ridiculously well-behaved children and the fortunate husband of one truly amazing woman. Clearly, he has a sense of humor, and she must be an amazing woman if she can be in charge of 6 kids and run that household. So please help me welcome Jeff Turner. Thanks, Jeff.
That was awesome. All right, so how do you follow that? Well, I'm going to stray from the introduction of the product for a second and talk a little bit about vision and values and why I appreciate so much what Mark had to say at the beginning of this conversation. I believe every successful company, in fact, I've never seen a company that's able to sustain success that did not have a clearly articulated vision and a set of core values that acted as a filter for not only its decisions, but how it chose partners internally and externally. Every great company does that without exception. And so we're going through this process. So we work on agreements and negotiations with large brands. We have a couple of very large brand agreements that have just recently launched. And Dilbeck. Now, I'm not diminishing Dilbeck. What I'm saying is the difference between what took place in one instance, a year and a half of vetting, and what took place in a very condensed yet very intense time frame, as unbeknownst to us, because I didn't learn about this until last week, Dilbeck was under this deadline, hard stop deadline. We need to make decisions. I've never been through as many face-to-face grilling meetings in a short period of time as we went through with Dilbeck. You can be assured they have looked under every crevice to make certain we do exactly what we claim we do. Second thing, I didn't know until just a few minutes ago that you had chosen Tribus as your platform for websites. I've worked with Eric Stegeman, the CEO of Tribus, for years, literally years. In the WordPress side, we've been a part of the WordPress development community in Orange County for years together. Before even being called in by Dilbeck, we had already begun conversations with Tribus on how to use our very unique proposition to drive content into agent profile pages on an individual level. So my first slide, oddly enough, basically says this. We have a different philosophy about the data we collect on your behalf. Every other company, and when I say every other company, I mean every other company, who goes out and collects what, and again, we get lumped into the agent ratings and reviews category, which is not what we are. Every company monetizes that in a way that requires that they own your data. There's no way to monetize in any other way for them unless they own your data, which limits what you can do with it. We are a SaaS company, service as software. What we get paid for is to collect information in a way that allows it to be aggregated, displayed, and viewed in a way that benefits our clients. And our license clearly states this: it's yours. You get to do with it as you want. And so when we built what is today the public-facing side of what we do, these agent profile pages, we built them on top of the most open sharing technology available, RSS. Everybody familiar with RSS? Raise your hand if you're not. That was an easier thing to do. RSS stands for Really Simple Syndication. By doing this, the signal we're sending to the world is, we're ready to share this data openly. But we're also willing to say, the agent is in control of this data. This is your data. And so they were built, this page that you see here, which will be a public-facing profile page built on the data that we collect on your behalf, is built on top of that RSS feed. This doesn't touch our database. This is an example of what you can do with it. On your own personal website, we have WordPress widgets, and again, we will work with Tribus to make certain that your display of this information that's under your control is displayed in a way that's consistent with the branding of Dilbeck and separates it from the way it's displayed anywhere else, period. Okay? Second, you get to determine. I know lots of people who have a philosophical difference with showing customer ratings. You may be one of those. Very few people have a philosophical difference with collecting customer feedback. We believe in private criticism and public praise, but we also believe that there is a value in presenting to the consumer an overall aggregated score based on your customer satisfaction, performance, and recommendation. So those are the scores that we provide. These are aggregate. We do not show individual scores from individual responses ever. It's not our philosophy. So you're always in control of what appears on your profile page. Anything that you say can appear on your profile page also appears in the RSS feed. If you turn it off on your profile page, it gets turned off in the RSS feed. Again, you're in control. Every testimonial, these are testimonials, these are not reviews. Very clear distinction. We only ask clients for a testimonial if, in the course of taking a survey, they say, I would recommend this agent to my friends and family, and they've rated you highly in terms of your performance. Then and only then do we say, this is the place where you can provide a recommendation. We then collect the license on your behalf for you to use that in marketing as you see fit. Make sense? Your agent dashboard is one page. It's incredibly simple to navigate. Everything that we do operates in a pop-up, and as you can see, you'll be able to turn on your ratings. If, believe it or not, we have people who've collected testimonials who've chosen to turn off their testimonials too. I don't quite understand those people. Really, I don't. Your choice, your data, you get to make that decision. If you want to make a mistake, we enable you to make as many mistakes as you'd like. So that is your choice. You can also choose to display these as percentages or stars. We do our own customer satisfaction surveys. The vast majority of our customers choose to show percentage. Percentage shows the nuance of what can take place in a rating system. Stars are very limited. If I go back and look at this, you'll notice 76% satisfaction. Most of you are looking at it going, wow, that guy really sucks. Do you realize that's 4 stars? See, most people don't do the math. Percentages, you know, with this whole Common Core stuff, I know we're all getting confused about math, but that's 4 stars. And so, because of that, we made the decision, based upon client feedback, about 30% of our clients said we'd like the opportunity to show these scores as stars. Psychologically, it changes the way they look and people are used to seeing it. Again, 100% within your control. You get to make that decision about how it appears in your profile. The second thing is this. Every survey result is always available to you online in your dashboard. Every single one. You'll know whether a client has completed a survey. You'll know whether an email was bounced. You'll know whether or not it was undeliverable. You'll see the good, you'll see the bad, you'll see the ugly, you'll see the great. And at any time, you'll have the ability to go through and look at the PDF, print out the PDF, use the PDF in your listing. If you want to analyze it, you can analyze it. My suggestion to you is this. You could have an amazing result on a survey, and a client goes out of their way on one question to say, I'm not giving you a high rating on that one. Those are the ones I'd like you to pay attention to. If you never show your customer satisfaction rating, honestly, I don't care. What I do care about is you taking the time to look at these results and analyzing what could I have done better in keeping with what Mark talked about for the vision of this company. Constantly exceeding expectations. There's only one way to do that. Seek feedback from clients. Listen carefully and take them seriously when they're sending you the message that you could have done something better. That's our goal. Every testimonial is approved. The approval process can take place on your mobile phone. If you don't want a testimonial to be seen, maybe they said, you're awesome. Thank you so much for giving me a discount on my commission. I don't know. You might not want to say that. You get to make that choice, but those are always available to you privately because we turn every single testimonial into a visual, again, based upon client feedback. The reason we did it is it makes it easier for you to share these things socially if they're turned into a graphic. So, these are called visual testimonials. Every one is sent to you in an email as a JPEG. You literally Don't even have to go open up your dashboard. You want to download it, forward it to friends, post it to Facebook yourself, feel free. But we do give you the ability to do that very, very simply right here in the approval process. And what we've done too is help you, because I know that when you guys stare at empty status messages, your minds go blank and you don't know what to say. So we've written about 20 pre-written status updates. Vast majority of our clients never change them. I said this last week, I'll say it again. I'm always really excited to see somebody change them, okay? You still get to make that choice. You can repeat this process as often as you want. You want to come back in 3 months later and send back out a tweet about a testimony you got 3 months ago because you've got a whole bunch of other content sitting in there and you want new content, feel free to do so, okay? This is what it looks like on Twitter. On Facebook, we use the same methodology. So these get posted as images on Facebook. They get posted as images on Twitter using those services' image generation technologies. And when you connect your Real Satisfied profile to Realtor.com, any recommendation that you approve automatically appears on your profile on Realtor.com. We are the only company that can syndicate testimonials to Realtor.com. What's the advantage of that? Well, the old profile pages were really, really ugly. These are the new, if you haven't seen them, these are the new Realtor.com profile pages. These are also the default profile pages that get established when you choose a .realtor profile. That obviously you can change and do whatever you want, but they've vastly improved the recommendations section on Realtor.com, and now all of those recommendations flow in, and it does indicate this recommendation has been validated, verified, as coming from a real consumer by Real Satisfied. We make it really easy for you to thank your customer for filling out a survey. One of the things we hear, and we're going to hear it from one of you, even if you're sitting in this room, even if you're pretending to listen to me right now, one of you in this room is going to send an email into the help desk. These surveys are too long. My clients are never going to fill out these surveys. 51% on average of consumers who get one of our surveys complete the survey and return it. 51%. 91% of people who start our surveys finish our surveys, and you can't tell how long our surveys are until you start taking them. So, yes, they're long. Why are they long? Because the only way to get real feedback is to ask a lot of questions. There is no other way to do that. Help is always just a click away. Use it. Agent tutorial will be available online. And the last thing I'd like you to do, please don't use your account when it's set up to send yourself a survey. It'll get trapped in quarantine and we'll have to embarrass you. Not publicly, but privately we'll embarrass you by saying, you can't provide a testimonial for yourself. Okay? We know you love you. We know that. You're realtors. So there's this really archaically named button on the front page of our website that says, send a survey to yourself. Use that one. Send yourself a survey. Familiarize yourself with the questions. One of the keys to success in any customer satisfaction program is consistency. Dilbeck's going to make certain that part of it is taken care of. One of the second keys to success is making certain that your customers understand that they're going to be receiving one, that you appreciate their feedback, and that it's going to be detailed. You should be aware of what's in these surveys. Okay? Welcome to Real Satisfied. I'm honored to be associated with your company.
Thank you. Thanks again, Jeff. Appreciate it. So if you think back for a second, when I showed you the websites, the personalized websites, you'll be able to pull the surveys down and have a special section on your website, et cetera, if you want, so the consumer can go and look at it there. Okay, we still have a lot more to do. We're about halfway through the presentations this morning. I'm going to mention this now so I don't have to deal with it at the end. When we break in about an hour, the club here has a discounted buffet and some other food stuff. So that'll be that direction, when we're done. Beautiful day today. Nice place to hang out maybe for lunch. Regarding some transition logistics, after you get back to your offices, some of you will recall that when we became part of Real Living and we were changing from GMAC Real Estate, And when we became part of GMAC, we were changing We're Better Homes and Gardens. And in each of those times, the company the parent company of who we were moving to had bought who we were moving from. So with those brand changes, everybody got brand new business cards because the ownership above us of the franchises didn't care so much if there were still old branding they didn't floating around. As recently as this year, we noticed some use of GMAC cards. So, Real Living has been quite clear that it intends to be diligent about the removal and discontinued use of its marks from our cards, our signs, our materials, etc. So, as a result, what we plan to do this this change, within reason, will replace materials that you have with the Real Living branding on them. With regard to business cards, my use of the word replace was very intentional. We can't have Real Living cards floating around after the new year, basically. We're going to ask those of you that have Real Living cards to actually turn them in exchange for the cards that we'll give you. After we receive the new ones, then we'll do a swap and we'll help get those Real Living cards off the streets. And if you have some GMAC cards or BH&G cards floating around that you want to bring in, we've got shredders for those too. Your managers will have replacement order forms back at the office for cards and the various other materials that you might have. For sale yard signs, they'll be handled differently. For the most part, we'll be dealing directly with the vendor. We use D signs for pretty much certainly the majority of all the signs we use are handled by them. So we have an inventory count with them, and we'll just work directly with them with updating the yard signs. If your signs are handled differently, not by D signs, whether it's open house signs or whatever, or you have different circumstances, just talk to your manager, and we'll deal with that back at the office. Later this morning, out that direction, when we're done here on stage, for each of you here today, we have a small tote bag. It's featuring our new logo, and some ancillary materials that you'll be introduced to in a little bit, and a t-shirt, which is also featuring our new logo. We're not going to make you give your old Real Living t-shirt back. You can get a new t-shirt. So completely shifting gears, something else you have access to today when you get back to your offices deals with the everyday job of doing deals and buying and selling houses. We worked with CAR, and we developed a Dilbeck Real Estate branded broker library for zip forms. Thanks. So you guys know what that is. It'll auto-populate with zip forms. Have to thank our La Cañada manager, Barry Jones, as well as Tiffany Scott from marketing. They really did most of the work on getting here with this. So thank you to Barry and to Tiffany. Knowing that CAR was going through a major form update, here this fall, we waited for the introduction of the new forms to include, our new library. So the new library will work in sync with the new forms that CAR is introducing this month. Once again, when you get back to the office, your tech liaisons will be working on training them, and your managers, et cetera, will be able to help you with that if you need assistance. Barry told me this morning it's ready to go, and it's really pretty easy once you get in there. In just a bit, I have one more guest to introduce, about a 45-minute presentation. First, however, I want to share a few more thoughts with you. For each of the last few years, your management team going into a new year, we have a theme that we have as a group going into the new year. This theme that you can read behind me is your management team's theme for 2015. I think it speaks for itself. Hopefully everybody can see it. I'm not going to read it. You can't see it. Okay, I will read it. We determine our future by our actions this moment. Make each moment count. If we execute our plan well and achieve our goals, we will help our sales partners achieve their goals and fulfill their dreams. When we talked about that at our management strat planning sessions last week, our retreat, we talked about the fact that if we have this theme as a management team, there really is a broader theme that ties into that. So we have our collaborative theme for all of us 2015. Very similar. I'll read it. I wasn't planning on reading it, but I'll read it for those of you who can't see it. We determine our future by our actions this moment. Make each moment count. If we execute our plan well, we will achieve our goals and fulfill our dreams. That's for all of us, right? Now is when we got to do what we got to do to get where we want to go. This theme is part of the backdrop that we'll have as we move forward into the future with all of the stuff that we're talking about today. Turning to our last set of announcements today, one of the reasons that a company becomes part of a franchise system is to network with and learn from other people throughout the country and beyond. Franchises also usually have broader name recognition outside a local market, and they can create name recognition when a consumer is coming in to a new local market. We get some of this from Christie's, but it mostly relates to a particular segment of the market, the high end. And it's an important segment, and one that fits very well with us and who we are. It's also a segment that can be hard for some of our sales partners to break into. Our next presenter will discuss new networks we've joined, and they bring to us some of the benefits that came with us from being part of a franchise organization, plus much more. One of the networks you're about to hear about also complements what we're doing with Christie's, but provides us with a platform that should make it easier for more of our sales partners to crack into that luxury market and expand what they're currently doing. Our next guest is truly considered a leader in our industry. And when I say industry, I mean national and international real estate industry. She's one of those people who's not only acknowledged as a leader, but she's also universally highly respected and well-liked. Those two don't always go hand in hand. I'm not exactly sure how long we've known each other. I think since sometime shortly after I became full-time here 20 plus years ago. With that, please help me welcome and introduce to you the President and Chief Executive Officer of leading real estate companies of the world. Here from chilly Chicago, she made it out of the snow. Help me welcome Pam O'Connor.
Thank you. Thank you, Mark. I didn't bring my tennies, so I didn't jump up here quite the way you did. I am telling you that I'm excited to be here today for a number of reasons. Number one, I did leave 18 degrees in Chicago and to come to paradise. But secondly, I am very excited to finally be with Dilbeck Real Estate. You are now a member of leading real estate companies of the world, and you should be very excited about that. And with all due respect to Teresa, I've been courting your husband for about 20 years. So, I've known Mark and I've known this company and really respected you all from afar for a long, long time. And that's for a lot of reasons. Really, the messaging that he gave you earlier was so relevant because when he talked about integrity and honesty and doing things the right way and having that strong local presence, that's what our network is really all about. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about us for those of you who aren't aware in a few minutes. And I think that the third reason I'm excited to be here is I think you will be excited when you recognize the resources, the new tools, the relationships, the connections, the benefits for your buyers and sellers that our network will provide to you. And also, as part of this, the company has invested in also making you a part of Luxury Portfolio International, which is our division for the high end. And we have a lot of our members that are also part of Christie's, so they really can go hand in hand. I think the thing that you will find about Luxury Portfolio is that there's a lot of stuff, a lot of analytics, a lot of things you can use with your buyers and sellers that are very impressive, that will really complement what you're already doing with Christie's. So let me just start with a little story before I get into telling you about Leading RE, which is our shortcut name for the name, and Luxury Portfolio. There was a woman walked into a bank in downtown Manhattan, and she asked to see the manager. She said, I'm taking a shopping trip to Paris, and I need to borrow $25,000. And he said, oh, well, are you a client of our bank? And she said, well, no. And he said, oh, well, madam, we couldn't possibly lend you $25,000 unless you're a customer or if you happen to have collateral. And she said, look outside on that curb. You see that Rolls Royce? That belongs to me. You may use that as collateral until I return. So they checked it out. It was her automobile. They lend her the money. Off she goes to Paris shopping. And a few weeks later, she walks back in to repay her loan, and the bank manager calculates the interest, so she owes him $25,016. She writes him a check, and she thanks him. She's getting ready to leave, and he says, madam, he says, I have to ask you a question. He said, we did our homework, and we discovered that you're a very wealthy woman, and I just don't really understand why you felt compelled to borrow $25,000 from our bank. She looked at him, she smiled, her little Mona Lisa smile, and she said, you're right, I didn't need that money, but where else could I park my car in Manhattan for 2 weeks for 16 bucks? Okay. The point of that story is there is an analogy here, which is she was thinking out of the box, she had a problem to solve, and she came up with a very unique way to do it. And isn't that what you do every single day? When you're trying to capture a listing, when you're trying to keep a deal together, when you're trying to identify how to connect with that buyer that you really want to work with, that's what you do. And so what I believe all of these tools that Mark and the company and your leadership are investing in on your behalf will do is really enable you to go to that next level in your business. And at the end of the day, that's really what this is all about. So let me tell you what we're going to cover. We're going to talk a little bit about just introducing you to the benefits of what Leading RE is all about. We're going to talk about how to use it in your day-to-day business and also talk a little bit about luxury portfolio. And I have to mention that don't be overwhelmed today. I know you're going to be hit with a lot of things and you're thinking, I'll never remember all this. We will have two of our staff team leaders come in a couple, I think we're coming in January, Mark. Stacy Cowell, who will be your VP of Business Solutions. She's your liaison for Leading RE and Luxury Portfolio, and she will be coming in. She is currently in Rochester, New York, so trust me, by then she will be very happy to get here. I said, are you going to get home anytime soon? There's like 6 feet of snow up there right now. And then the other lady is Stephanie Pfeffer, who is our Executive VP for Luxury Portfolio. Very talented ladies, both of them, and they'll be back in working with your offices and helping you really understand how to use these tools. So I just wanted to mention that. When you think about who leading real estate companies of the world are, and I'll give you some of our credentials in a minute, but you are basically now with the best of the best, in my opinion, of all the strong local independent brands throughout the country. These are companies that if you're from anywhere else, how many of you from someplace other than California? Just raise your hand. So most of you are locals. That's really unusual. I mean, not here, but a lot of other places. But what you'll find is that if somebody doesn't know Dilbeck Real Estate, if they're coming from Dallas, they certainly know Ebby Halliday. If they're coming from the Washington, D.C. area, they certainly know Long & Foster. If they're coming from Atlanta, Georgia, they certainly know Harry Norman Realtors. So there's real benefit by association, credibility by association. So you really are with the best of the best, I believe, in the industry. And let me tell you a little bit about how we came to be. In 1997, 50 of the largest real estate companies in the country left what would today be Realogy. They were part of the Cardus, then Cendant Relocation Network, and they were all independent companies. And they had gotten to the point where they didn't like being mandated to and being told they couldn't do certain things and so on and so forth. So they exited en masse, and we are in fact the reason that NRT Residential exists today, although they would never acknowledge that because they lost their network overnight and had to go out and start buying real estate companies. So that's really how we came to be. And then about a year later, they bought the old Relo network, which Dilbeck had roots to going back many years ago. I was not there then, but we had, I was a friendly competitor of theirs with another network. So they bought Relo about a year after forming this new company. And so really in the space of a couple of years, we pretty much consolidated all of the strong independent networks under one brand and became, at that time, Relo. We did business as Relo until 2005 and then opted to change the name. And around that time is when Sotheby's licensed the auction house name to Realogy and then became a franchise. We had a lot of Sotheby's affiliates in our network, didn't want to be franchises, and therefore came to us and said, Pam, you guys have the brokers, let's form our own, and that's when we established Luxury Portfolio. So all of that kind of came together in the late 90s, and the name changes occurred in 2005. Paul Boomsma, who is our COO of Leading RE and our CEO, or our president rather, of Luxury Portfolio, we hired him. He had been with Koenig & Stray in Chicago as head of their marketing department, a very talented guy. We hired him to create Luxury Portfolio, and he came into my office one day in 2005, about 2 months after he was there, and he said, so Pam, he says, I'm having a little hard time with this Relo name. He said, my friends all know that I've gone to work for this network to create this new luxury program, and he said, they're all saying, well, so let's see, Relo, is that like, really nice houses for rich transferees? And so there was kind of a disconnect there. So that's when he proposed the new name, and our first reaction was leading real estate companies of the world. That's a mouthful. But once you say it, you don't have to say anything else. Whereas with Relo, you had to kind of continue explaining it. So we refer to ourselves as leading RE, and in the industry, that's really kind of sort of where we've kind of gone. So basically, we are sort of a hybrid organization. There's nobody like us in the industry today. We represent all of the finest independent companies, and it is by invitation, so it's not like anybody can join. We're very selective in terms of who we have so that you can, in fact, be with the very best companies. But we provide a lot of the tools and resources that a national franchise would. So you're not really losing anything. You're gaining a lot more in the sense that you'll have resources, but you'll also have that freedom and the flexibility. And the beautiful thing that I think Mark and your leadership has been very smart about through the years is to retain that Dilbeck presence, because I think most of your consumers may not even notice that difference, and because you've done such a great job of building that local name. So who is leading real estate companies of the world? Quite candidly, if I do brag a little bit, we are quite a powerhouse. We represent 500 real estate companies. We have about 3,500 offices, 120,000 sales associates. We're in almost 50 countries. In 2013, we did $314 billion in real estate sales, which is over 1 million transactions. And by the way, those numbers are more than any single franchise in the industry today. And the other interesting thing is we're probably the only network that really offers an ROI. In the sense that our referral business through this network generates about $118 million in referral fees and commissions to the members in the network. So I think you're about to be part of something that's not only very beneficial in a lot of ways, but also financially beneficial. So these are just some of the reasons in terms of, which we've already touched on a little bit, that will really, I think, be a big plus to you as you go forward. Not only giving you the global presence, which we'll talk about in a second, but driving new business opportunities and giving you, making you part of a much bigger entity that takes the Dilbeck strength and really leverages it beyond your local market. So we talk in terms of 4 buckets, if you will, to our value proposition. I'm going to hit on this pretty high level. Brand enhancement is certainly one of them. And that means the strength of this network, the leadership that we display in the industry. We were largely responsible at NAR. I think Alan was there last couple weekends ago, but we really drove this new change to get some consistency in the listing data at the MLS committee level. So we do a lot of those kinds of things, a lot of global connections, ways for you to get more listings and to have more exposure for your listings. This is an example of one of the charts that you will now be able to use in a listing presentation. This represents the total number of sales of the different networks that are out there. And if you can't see that, the tall blue bar is leading real estate companies of the world. The lighter blue one is Coldwell Banker, and it goes down from that. So if you're in a listing presentation and someone says, I need a national company, you can say, we do more business than that. We have those national and global connections. So this is probably our most used marketing item, and these things are all available to you, which we'll talk about. This one is a little harder to read, but we also, every year when Real Trends comes out with their numbers, they actually rank the sales of the different networks. And if you look, I think, about the middle of that book, they have shown for the last at least 5 years that Leading RE is #1 among the top 500 real estate companies in the number of sales. We represent, what is about 25%, and then the next closest would be Coldwell Banker at about 21%. So a very powerful network in terms of the companies. And by the way, 15 of the top 25 real estate companies in the country are with leading real estate companies of the world. So you're in some really great company. I love this chart because it speaks to local. And let me just touch on that for a second. I think there was a day, I've been in this business way long. I started when I was 5, and people used to buy that. They don't so much anymore. But when I started, that was when independents were really strong. And then the franchises sort of came on the scene. And there was certainly a period of time when that franchise connection was really valuable because people from market to market didn't know the local brands. But that has changed to a large extent, I think, for 2 reasons. Number one is the internet. So anybody can find a company on the internet today, if they want to see who's the leader in the market, they Google, and they can find out who the players are in that market. So the national brand is a lot less relevant than it used to be. You don't need TV commercials to sell a real estate company today, in my opinion. Secondly, I think we're dealing with a huge millennial population, which is half of the working population in this country today, which is a pretty stunning number. And those folks love the personality of a brand. They love the local roots, the community involvement, and I think that it's really a new era for independent, locally branded companies. So this chart shows, again, through the Real Trends data, outside objective data, that we lead as the #1 company in more markets than any franchise brand. So that's what this chart says, and that's in about almost 40% of the top 100 markets in the country. The leader is an independent real estate company, whether it's Abbey Halliday or, Crylike or whoever the member might be. And by the way, we're not just big companies. I like to mention this. We are a very diverse network. We have companies ranging in size from 20 agents all the way up to Long & Foster and Howard Hanna with thousands and thousands. But the difference is that if we have a smaller company, they're either the #1, 2, 3 player in a smaller market or in a niche market. So as an example, in Chicago, where I live, the North Shore has a little town called Winnetka, very, very pricey market, very high-end market. Our member there is 25 agents, and they're #1 in the market. They outperform our big ones there, which are Baird & Warner and at Properties. So we have really a lot of choices in the network and some really good diversity of that as well. So let me talk about the whole idea of I'm local, I'm global, because this is now your mantra. This is really what you can talk about beyond the local areas of LA where you do business. Real estate, as we know, is local, but at the same time, in the course of that, your clients and folks that you work with really want to know that you know that local market. That's what they're hiring you to do. They want you to not only have the information, but as someone once said, information is free, knowledge is priceless. That's where you come in, interpreting and being that trusted resource to guide them in the right direction. But at the same time, even though we have members throughout this organization that are very, very strong locally, the global piece is very important today, and I think it's particularly important for a company like yours in a market like Los Angeles, because it is a global market. And what we are finding is that even if you are in an area, which is probably unlikely, because I imagine you have a lot of international buyers and sellers here, but even if you never had one, your sellers want their properties exposed both nationally and globally, and you've got to be able to deliver that. So it's a really important element that way. And what we're seeing is every single year the number of international buyers in this country are growing. That number is growing really exponentially every year, and I think that's only going to continue as the world shrinks and goes forward. So as we see here, 92 billion of our U.S. sales last year came from foreign buyers, and that is going up 10 to 20% a year. I was in Miami a few weeks ago, and that is like a totally international market there. So I think this is only a trend that we'll continue to see. So what we did at our annual conference last year in February is we decided we needed this little mantra, and we needed a way for our members to, agents, to better articulate this message. So we created a little sort of laminated card, which you will get at your next meeting with Stacy and Stephanie, so we didn't want to overwhelm you today, but this is sort of a little elevator pitch, and just to read it, it says, I am local, I am global. I have connections to the very best real estate brokers through my worldwide invitation-only network. Leading real estate companies of the world, Leading RE includes over 500 market-leading real estate firms. We sell over 1 million homes and connect tens of thousands of buyers and sellers through our network every year. Leading RE provides me with world-class marketing and resources, allowing me to provide you with the very best service. So not that you would read that, but that's the sort of the messaging that you want to be able to deliver to your clients and customers. make you dizzy? That really is sort of tells you a little bit about the energy and some of the other experiences I think you'll have in our network. So the next bucket, I talked about brand enhancement. The next one is lead generation. And this is where really our core competency and where we started as a network in the relocation and referral space. So we basically, I think, do this better than anybody else in the industry today. We are a very strong broker-to-broker referral network. And to give you an idea, we generate 30 to 40,000 of those annually with about a 44% conversion rate, which is unheard of in the broker-to-broker. This is not the corporate relocation space now. And we're averaging about $350,000 average price, which for you guys may not sound great, but that's an average, so that means that yours would be a lot higher than that. And really, the way that we encourage our folks to think about this is not so much as a referral, but an introduction. That really what part of your full service approach to the business is to help people buying and selling real estate wherever they may need that help. And that's not always somebody moving out of your area. I get a lot of times our Florida members in particular will say, Pam, nobody leaves Florida. They come here, they go out in a pine box. Well, that may be the case. However, the fact that they're coming from all over the country means they know people everywhere, and you do too. So you know people that are relatives or friends who may live other places and may need some help with real estate, or people, your clients, who are buying second homes in other markets. So we really encourage you to think globally, and I use that term in a little different context about all the people that you can help with referrals. And by the same token, we're messaging that to all of your counterparts, 120,000 of them in this network, so that they're thinking of you when they have somebody come into your neck of the woods. It's an easy way to make money. Our average, again, this is lower than what you might see because of your market, $1,200 for a few minutes of your time to place that referral. And you know that you're going to be really working with the best of the best. So we do a lot to support this in terms of promotion and sharing some of the success stories that we have throughout the network. And you'll see a lot of that. But we really refer to this as the art of the introduction. With a lot of marketing materials that you can use, and when you're on a listing presentation or when you're out and about with clients and customers to talk about this. And I'll share a story. Well, let me show you the video first, and then I'll share my story.
When I first heard of the referrals program from my relocation director, I was thrilled to learn there is an opportunity to help my clients with their real estate needs in any market, beyond my service to them in the local market.
I don't really think of it as referrals. I think of it as really more of an introduction.
So given that you know that, why wouldn't you take the time to make that introduction?
And connect them with the best agent in the area.
Referrals are just an extension of the standard of excellence you already provide for your clients.
This is the most important introduction that I could have made. My son, daughter-in-law, and my grandchildren were moving clear across the United States.
I actually put my own mother, through the outbound referral program.
But it meant so much to me because it was a family member. And they got it done beautifully.
They bring the local expertise, and by connecting them to each other, they can really help their clients globally.
Full service on referrals does not just mean help them find a house. It really means to help them get acclimated to a new life in a new environment.
I think it's just part of our business and part of my nature to want to help our clients in a full service way, and this is a great way to do it.
Because at the end of the day, we're all striving for the same goal, to provide extraordinary service.
I always try to encourage them to think of me as a resource.
I've been relying on our strong outbound referral network for over a decade now.
The outbound referral system is a great way to supplement your income.
I want my clients to consult with me on all of their needs.
And not just in my market or the expanded metro market, but in the entire country and sometimes the entire world.
So of course, the first one I called is our Global Service Division, and they had the perfect person.
What I really enjoyed was I was able to reach out to the agents and kind of interview them myself and get someone that I was comfortable with, that I thought reflected my personality and was a good match with my client.
For somebody to stay in my referral network, they have to hold a certain standard.
The agents on the other end are the same caliber and of the same thought process as me.
They're going to take care of your folks just as well as you would.
The benefit of referring them through the Leading RE network is that they're going to be matched with an agent who is uniquely trained to handle those situations, not only helping them purchase their new home, but helping them get acclimated to their new way of life in that new city.
I've placed several referrals through the program already, and I have found all the associates I've spoken with to be experienced and professional.
We had such a wonderful experience with this agent that she's become a very close family friend.
She made me look like a rock star.
In the end, they were as thrilled as can be.
Leading real estate companies of the world did what they said they were going to do.
I mean, it was almost too easy. It was a win-win situation for everyone, and it just took one phone call.
I only had to make a phone call or two, and I wound up with the easiest $1,000 I ever made.
It really just shows you that the system really works.
If those people are going to make you shine, and they do because we work the same way, then why wouldn't you refer out to them?
Whether it's a big deal or a small deal, I know it's going to be handled really well with one of our networks.
If you can be that resource for them, they're going to be happy, and you're going to be really happy.
So thank you. The gentleman who talked about being the rock star, that's the story I want to tell you. His name is Cord Shiflett. He's a top agent in Austin, Texas, with Moreland Properties there. And so he told the whole story in another video, which I didn't bring today. But he basically said the story was that he had been at one of our conferences, which I'll tell you about in a few minutes. And he said, you know, I came back and I really haven't really thought much about referral business. And I started thinking, you know, I should think about who I work with now that has homes in other markets. So in his normal follow-up calls, he mentioned this. He'd say, so he was talking to this one guy and he said, by the way, I know you own homes in other places, so if you ever need help with that, I'm part of a great network and I'd love to be of assistance. And so this guy says to him, you know, as a matter of fact, I have this home in Fort Lauderdale that's been on the market for 2 years. It's listed. I can't seem to sell it, and I really need to sell it. And so the listing was about to expire. So long story, he re-refers the listing to our member. They sold it in 2 or 3 weeks, I think it was. But this is the best part. Now, don't get too excited about this, but he got a referral fee check for $40,000. And the reason was they double-ended it, and this agent just felt like, for whatever reason, didn't have to, but honored both sides of it, which, again, is a reflection on the kind of people we work with. So not to say that every referral you send will yield that, but we do have a lot of high-end business that goes through the network as well. So I'm switching gears now. Another type of lead generation is website leads. So we have our own website, leadingre.com, which I'll talk about in just a second. But the idea here is to connect all of these independent companies. So you're looking at the John L. Scott homepage in Seattle. And if somebody goes on that and they want to look beyond the Seattle market, they would click on that United States map, and then they would go to whatever. And unfortunately, when I did the screenshot, I cut off the top, but it's co-branded to your company. So this would say, you know, Dilbeck up in the corner along with Leading RE. And then if they click on the area that they're interested in, it takes them to that other member's website. So it's a way to really drive traffic from one company to another. Moving quickly, I'll touch just briefly on some of the technology and programs areas that we have. Our World is our intranet available to all members. I'll talk about Institute. We offer a website quality certification program so that when you refer a client to another member, their website walks the talk of what you're telling them. We have a vendor partner program and then luxury portfolio, which I'll spend a few minutes on. So this is just an example of our generic Our World platform, which would have your branding for Dilbeck up in the right upper hand corner. But this is really the go-to place for everything to do with Leading RE. It's where all of our resources are if you want to download some of the marketing materials, if you want to register for our conference, if you want to really get information on a lot of different levels. And I'm just going to touch on one of this would be an example of how to pull down the different marketing materials. And I'm thinking you all will probably do some co-branding of some of that internally with your own marketing department. But these are all available. Information about the art of the introduction that I was talking about. And then this is another thing. We contract every year with a company called Home Junction for community data and demographics. So this is a very cool comparison that you can do if you're working with someone from another area or going to another area. So this would be a comparison between Boston and Chicago, and it covers everything from cost of living comparisons to what housing inventory is like in that market, what the demographics are, and so forth. So that's another tool that is available to you at no cost through Our World. The last area that I want to talk about is professional development, and we are huge proponents of raising the bar in the industry. And I love all the conversation earlier about, always trying to exceed expectations, because that is really, I think, what separates the winners from the losers in this business. And we do this in really both an offline and an online way. We know how busy you all are, and so we have created an online learning platform called Institute, which is part of your membership. And basically, it's a way that you can go on and do short sound bites of training on your own time at 11 o'clock at night, whenever you want to do it. And so I'll talk about that in a second. But we also do a number of in-person events that really help you network with, again, the best of the best. So the first thing I'll touch on a little bit is Institute. And here's a quick video that will help you understand what that's all about.
Hi everyone, I'm Mike Staver.
Hello, I'm Debbie Mayer.
My name is Larry Kendall.
Hi, this is Matthew Ferrari.
Hi, this is Steve Harney.
I'm your host, Matt Dollinger.
Welcome to the Big A's of Success.
And welcome to the 4th installment of the Institute Sales Manager Series.
The customer experience is everything.
And right now, I'd like to take a couple of minutes to talk to you about you.
About the 3 things that you want to master.
If you follow those 4 steps,
here are 7 ways that you can do it.
Communication is one of the most basic of all human functions.
I invite you to join us on this journey.
And I invite you to check it out.
See you around the Institute.
So what we've done here really is we understand that most of us in this business are a little ADD, right? We're juggling a lot of things. It's really hard to keep up with all of it. So one of the beautiful things about the 200 or so proprietary courses, all of this is stuff that was done just for Leading RE, is that they're like under 15 minutes long. So you can literally, if you need a little refresher and you've got some extra time to kill before you go in to do a listing presentation, you can talk about that. If you're getting ready to walk in and try to get a price reduction, we've got one on dealing with difficult sellers. So lots of ways you can get sort of a little pumped with not a lot of time invested. So, and they're mostly, we're actually more than 50%. We're moving to have all of them iPad mobile friendly so that you can use them there as well. About 40% of the courses online are no charge at all as part of your membership. You can also, if you want to take, most of them are, well, they're all priced at like iTunes prices, $7.99 if you want to take a course, or you can do a $99 annual subscription that gives you everything on the site. So, but even without that, there's plenty of great content where you don't have to spend a nickel. And then this is just what the homepage looks like, and there are courses for managers as well as sales associates. So it's a lot of variety, and these are things that we're constantly updating. We use a lot of speakers, but we also are doing more and more with our own agents, and over time we'd love to have some of you that are seasoned professionals help us with some of that. This is just an example of how we sort of aggregate some of the content for, this is a new agent syllabus, so you can, if you're a manager and you have someone new to the business, you can say, here's kind of a plan for you to go through in terms of some training in those initial weeks. So a lot of great content. We have what we call our faculty. Mike Staver is our Chief Learning Officer. Mike is, if you've never heard him, he's a great speaker, but a leadership coach, a very talented guy. Came out of the clinical psychology field, which I thought was sort of relevant for real estate. But he's a great guy, and he's always at our conferences, so if you're there, you will hear him speak. But he's our Chief Learning Officer and really deals with the leadership side of things. Many of you may have heard Matthew Ferrara at some point. Matthew is one of the smartest people I know who knows a lot about a lot, especially in the technology field, kind of dumbing it down for people like me. And then Steve Harney, who I think single-handedly got a lot of agents through the downturn by just arming them with things, with objective information they could use with clients. And then last but not least, Debbie Mayer, who was very involved in the early days of customer service training for the Ritz-Carlton, and she's our customer experience faculty member. So these are the folks that work with us, but we also have a very close relationship with Larry Kendall of Ninja. For those of you who know that program, their real estate company, the group in Fort Collins, is our member. So this is now a little bit about the offline part of professional development. We have an annual conference week every year, and we opened that up about 3 years ago, or maybe 3 or 4 years ago, to agents as well as company owners and so forth. And this has been a home run, and what we do is the first half of the week is really dedicated to agents. First of all, we have something called the Performance Summit, which is a 2.5-day roughly conference that really covers all aspects of sales, anything you'd want to know as a sales agent about your business. And then the concurrent with that is one for luxury portfolio, which is just about the high end of the market, and then one for sales managers. And then the second half of the week is basically for owners, senior managers, all brokers, relocation directors, and then there's a subset of that, MarTech, for marketing and technology professionals. And then there's an overlapping general session in the middle where everybody is there. Last year we had about 2,800 people. We expect more than that this year, and we hope you will be among them. And this year, as part of the Performance Summit, we've added a couple of new things. We're actually adding a component of that for commercial agents, and in case there's anyone who has an interest in that piece, and then also for training directors, people who are responsible for career development, professional development for their companies. And really, this is an opportunity not only to get great education, great content about the latest and greatest, to network with wonderful, seasoned people like yourselves, and to really learn about the leading RE tools and how to take advantage of all of those, and just to get re-energized, which we all, I think, need. So this year, our keynote speaker on that overlapping general session is Rudy Giuliani, the former mayor of New York. So I think he'll have some interesting things to talk about in terms of the whole leadership space. This is a gentleman, Sean Acor, who wrote a book about happiness, and we had him actually for our brokers a few years ago, and we thought this is a great topic for agents because he really talks scientifically about the connection between being happy and being successful. Not that you are happy because you're successful, but because you become successful by starting out with happiness. And it sounds a little fluff, but it's not. There's some science behind it, and he's a great speaker. And then we have the woman who used to be CNBC's chief economist who's going to really fill us in on what's happening with the world economy and the national economy. We work hard and we play hard at our conferences. Our big social event will be a party at Tao nightclub in Vegas, which is where we're going to be, if you've been wondering where we're going to be. And these are the registration rates, and you will all get the early bird rate if you go, because even though that date has passed, so that since you're just now coming into the network. So, and as I mentioned, if you do the photo thing that we talked about earlier, you can get this down by $100. And the other thing that we do, which you're a little late to the game on this year, but we'll be doing it every year, but if you do send and close a referral by the end of the year, then that is another $100 for each of those up to 5. So literally, if you start in the early part of the year every year, you could get this down to 0 registration fee. And we've sort of talked about that, so I'll touch that. We will be at the Wynn Las Vegas, which is the premier hotel on the Strip, as you all know. It's a 5-star hotel. And it's beautiful in every respect. We have large, wonderful rooms. And the best thing about it is we go to bat for you every year where we negotiate really great rates. So we'll be there for $204, which is considerably less than you would get if you were walking in off the street. So some of you ladies who don't mind sharing rooms, it's a great economical way to stay in the best place in Las Vegas. Luxury portfolio. Basically, this, as I mentioned earlier, is the high-end part of the network. It's an optional membership. So about 200 of our 500 companies are affiliated with Luxury Portfolio, and it's a way to really provide better exposure and deeper exposure for your listings globally. But there are a lot of elements to this, and I'm going to pop over them. But again, Stephanie Pfeffer will be back in January to tell you more. Our website is a Webby award-winning website, luxuryportfolio.com, and we've just released a new version of that, which is very mobile friendly. Because we've seen a huge jump in our traffic. About 40% of the traffic is now from mobile devices. But there are 25,000 million-dollar-plus homes on the site, valued at about $50 billion. And that's more, by the way, than any luxury real estate website. And we're in 47 states and about 30 countries. But every month, the site is in 9 languages and 60 currencies. And every month we get traffic from about 200 different countries. This will show you a little bit about how it looks on a mobile device, which I think is very important in today's world. This is just a couple of shots of the home page. It's again scrolling down, very mobile friendly. 5 photographs required before we even post a listing, and we have real people who look at every single listing that comes through. and just some beautiful properties there. So this will just give you a sense. I encourage you to go on and just browse the site, luxuryportfolio.com. But just to pop over a few of the other advantages of the program, we do something called a Lux Introduction Letter, and you're each entitled to 25 of these a year. And basically, at no charge, we will send a letter to, if you're getting ready to go on an important listing presentation, if you have a new listing and you want to reinforce yourself to that seller, if you're coming up on a renewal, whatever the reason might be, we send that out from President of Luxury Portfolio, Paul Boomsma. You know, Mary Jo is, you've made a great decision working with her, that sort of thing, third-party endorsement. We have some gift subscriptions you can send to clients. We do our own magazine, Luxury Portfolio Magazine, and that you can send, again, 25 subscriptions a year at no charge to top clients. And then if you want to send them the Lux magazine, you can also do that one for $5 a year, which is normally $40 a year. So again, limited to 25. We have it actually says green in the sense of environmentally friendly, but it is a black box that can be used for really special listings that you might be going on that basically has that cover letter and a lot of materials. It looks like this. It's co-branded to the company. And we can get these out in literally a matter of a day if you have, and when you have that delivered to a client before you show up, it's pretty impressive. This is $50. It's not something that everybody wants to do, but for certain things can be effective. But we also developed a less expensive $15 version, which is this folder that you see that again has a lot of the same materials. So this can be turned around very quickly if you ever need something special that you want to go out with. The listing presentation that we have, the hard copy version, these are just some of the inserts that you'll see, but it's customized to you individually. And again, very usable on an iPad. Just to show how it works, we actually will write the copy for you and then you can tweak it. As Mark said earlier, sometimes that kind of is a difficult thing. This is something that I'll talk about, the Lux Analytics, but what we have here, this is, I think, nobody else does this in the luxury space. There's a back end of the site called Lux Exchange, and you can access a lot of these here. You can do drip marketing, you can do a lot of things from there. But Lux Analytics is a really cool program that will just basically, via pie charts and bar charts, show a seller what kind of activity you've had on that listing. So it will show you what countries the people came from, how many impressions. You get a sense of the whole view, the whole idea here. And the way this works is just, it sort of puts some science and numbers behind what you're doing for them. If you have somebody who's got a lot of views but no deep page views, you can say that's probably a price issue. We have, there's an agent in San Francisco, Mary Gullickson, who's with Alon Pennell, one of our members up there. She's one of the top agents in the whole Bay Area. And she forwarded an email to us about a year ago from one of her clients. He said, Mary, after getting this Lux Analytics via email, he says, Mary, we have, I have bought and sold a lot of houses in my day, and this is the most professional thing I've ever gotten from a real estate agent. So I think that says it all. So that's going to be a wonderful tool you'll have access to. Whoops, I'm going the wrong way. And we do a lot of co-op advertising opportunities. These are some of the publications that we're in that are, some of them are global. So if you do have, and you can be in the Wall Street Journal for a couple of $100s. So if you have somebody that you need to do some extra things for, this is a great way to do it. We also publish our own magazine, which I think is a great value because the pricing is not expensive and it's done twice a year, so it's got some pretty good shelf life. And that when your listings go on luxuryportfolio.com, they're syndicated to the Wall Street Journal site and to Country Life in London, to Juwai, which is the most trafficked site for China, which is very relevant for this market, on, of course, leadingre.com and YouTube as well. And we also offer, in addition to Juwai, we have an option. If you have a higher-end listing and you want it exposed globally, you can actually participate in a program we have teed up with a company called World Posting, where you can get up to 5 listings for $15 for 3 months on about 50 global websites. So it's a great way to, again, add something to what you're presenting. We do a newsletter called Lux Trends, which can be sent with your branding to your clients very simply by going to the back end of the site. And we also do a lot of events. So we were in Shanghai this past summer for a an Asia immersion trip, which I'll show you a quick video on. And these are some of the other places. We do an international meeting every year. In the fall, we were just in Dubrovnik, Croatia, and those are things that are available to anybody who wants to come in the network. And here's a little look at what we did in Shanghai this summer.
I'm so happy that the luxury portfolio was wise enough to have this event and to bring us together here to immerse ourselves in the Chinese culture.
I've learned so much in these few days, more than what I've learned working with Chinese buyers in the last 2 or 3 years.
I learned so much about culture, about the Chinese people, how they live. I'm just so excited. I have so much to bring back to my agents, and it was a very, very exciting conference.
All we do is eat and drink, and we do a lot of that, but we have fun. So just to close, I want to just tell you that you are really part of an amazing organization, and you wouldn't be here if you didn't qualify, and that's a tribute to all of you, and I'm so excited to be working with you all. I want to close with a little story that hopefully will illustrate that. I was at an NAR convention a couple of years ago, and I ran into a friend I hadn't seen in a while, and she said, let's go have a drink in the lobby bar. So we head in there, and we're sitting there enjoying our cocktails, and a few minutes later the waitress comes around the corner and brings us another round of drinks, and we said we didn't order those, and she said, oh, the gentleman at the bar bought you those, and we're congratulating each other. You know, we're up there in years, and the guys are still buying us drinks. And so a few minutes later this guy walks into the room, and he walks around the corner, he goes, not them. So it sort of was a rude awakening. But it reminded me that it's not about me. And I tell that story because it's really, and I don't mean to sound hokey, but our staff, our team is all about you. And I mean that very sincerely. I think as you get to know the other people in our network, they will tell you that our goal really is to provide services and to help you get better. And that's really, in fact, our mantra for the company is making the best brokerages better and the best agents better. So we are thrilled to be working with you. I have no doubt from everything that you're about to continue hearing as this all unfolds that the best is yet to come for Dilbeck Real Estate, and we're thrilled that you're going to be doing it with leading real estate companies of the world and luxury portfolio. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pam. Thanks. It means a lot for you being here with us today. I appreciate it. We're almost there. Overwhelmed yet? A lot of stuff, huh? Give me just a few minutes to summarize what you've heard today, and then we'll be off to finish strong for 2014. I wasn't planning on mentioning this, but Jeff talked about what we kind of put him through on deciding to do Real Satisfied. And I talked earlier. We thought about what we wanted to do going back months, but we put it all together very quickly. I actually visited Leading RE in Chicago on October 1st. I was there for 2 days, and so Pam went through in 45 minutes what I went through in hours and hours and hours. And that one graph she showed you that compares our market to another market, it's really cool. They said, give me a zip code in your market area, and I gave them a zip code, and they said, well, okay, we'll throw in this zip code from Chicago, and then all of a sudden shows this is the average income, these are the demographics, this is what the schools look like. So very powerful tool when you sit back down with your clients. There's a lot of stuff there. And then we had somebody come out from Leading RE for the management team. I don't know how many webinars we've seen, so, but we've got some really, really good stuff for you. So let's look at the timeline of our highlights of what we've got going on here. So today, your new CRM will be live. The Dilbeck Broker Library for Zip Forms will be live. Your tech liaisons are going to be trained at noon. Your managers will have the order forms back at the offices today. We'll start to get some of the Leading RE stuff exposed to us, but there'll be more tools and benefits coming in the following weeks. And your Platinum Advantage and Real Satisfied Agent platform can begin to be promoted. The actual materials for Platinum Advantage won't be in the offices until next week. Real quick before I move on, Julie Dross in particular has been working her tail off to get all this stuff done, as well as your marketing department and your IT department. So I just want to thank all of our staff. Very, very important part of our real estate family, and they are very, very dedicated to you. So thanks again. So let's go to the next slide on what's coming in the next few weeks. So I mentioned before, this month, November closings, our Premier Service will be the last month for our Premier Service surveys. Beginning in December, we'll start with the Real Satisfied Platinum Advantage surveys that'll start. The Our World Learning Institute that Pam O'Connor talked about will be live for you guys to be able to start using that, and we'll start seeing the new marketing materials. On December 5th, our listings will start uploading to the new websites with Leading RE and Luxury Portfolio. This is important, December 31st. That is your deadline when you need to stop using all the Real Living materials. On the 14th of January, as Pam mentioned, Stacy Cowell will be out here. Stephanie Anton, she's actually married now, remember Pam? So her new name is Anton. They'll be out here, and we're pairing them up with Leslie Appleton Young, because we normally have Leslie in the fall. Leslie will be here, so you'll have a lot of content for January 14th. Your new websites will be live on the 15th, and the old websites with Real Living will come down. And then the conferences, the summit that Pam talked about will be February 9th through February 11th. And then this is the very last thing to be done with Real Living. Your My Contacts portion of the Real Living Business Center will be done on February 15th. And then we have many, many other good things to come after that. So let's summarize what we've got here. We're done with the swoosh. We determine our own destiny. We will leverage our strong legacy as we move forward vibrantly into the future. We've got our advanced websites for the company and each of our sales partners, and our Platinum Advantage program, which is our new customer quality service experience centerpiece. We've got our state-of-the-art agent evaluation platform, which includes the Real Satisfied surveys and the Real Satisfied reviews for today's consumers who will be researching you on the internet. We have our Dilbeck Broker Library for Zip Forms, state-of-the-art Tribus CRM for each of our sales partners, leading real estate companies of the world, which you heard about, along with Luxury Portfolio, and what comes with them, the Our World Learning Institute, their training modules for today's mobile sales partners et al. And so what all that means is we are local and we are global. Thank you. I am personally very excited about what we've got going on here. So the future starts with us finishing strong in 2014, and it continues with a positive start in 2015. Thank you all for being here. Enjoy the rest of your day. Let's play it. Thank you.